Christmas came early in more ways than one this year for the Doctor Who production team. Filming began back in the summer, and today superstar Kylie is on set to shoot Astrid's encounter with a deserted Doctor.
It's quite an unusual situation to find the Doctor in wandering mood. He arrives on that ship and he actually has a wander. He has a mooch about all on his own and joins in with a party, still feeling like a little bit of an outsider. I love that side of him, that he travels and journeys to see the world and experience it, and yet that leaves you slightly outside it all, and yet within seconds he's making friends with Astrid.
There we go.
Thank you, sir. I can manage.
I suppose as soon as he's on his own, there must be part of him that subconsciously or consciously looking out for his next travelling companion. And Astrid ticks all the boxes.
Astrid Peth.
Nice to meet you, Astrid. Merry Christmas.
She's spunky, she's up for an adventure, she's quick-witted, and she's quite easy on the eye, which seems to be important to the Doctor. I don't know why it would be.
Just Doctor, not Sir.
The Doctor and she click within seconds.
You're not with anyone?
No, just me. Just,
Astrid is a dreamer. She's alone. Her dream is to travel. And in the Doctor, she sees someone who's living the life that she has dreamt of. And there's that hint of possibility, which I imagine she'd kind of lost faith in.
Background action and action.
Never stood on another world. I used to watch the ships heading out to the stars. Always dreamt of... Oh, that sounds daft.
She's dreaming of travelling. In a sense, you'd think being on the Titanic is travelling, and yet she's really not getting anywhere.
James, is it alright if the artist's already there for this one? Still start the same place in the dialogue, but... There we go, and... action.
You dreamt of another sky. New sun, new air, new life. The whole universe teeming with life.
She meets the Doctor, who is going everywhere and change is happening all the time. And yet he's lonely.
So you travel a lot?
All the time, just for fun. That's the plan, never quite works.
Astrid is one of those one-off companions that we give the Doctor.
I should report you.
Come on then.
Someone who would be a perfect companion for him.
And you can imagine them sailing off into the sunset together. You can imagine Astrid staying with the Doctor for a long time. If it wasn't for that album and international tour, maybe she'd have hung on a little bit longer.
The Kylie thing it was all luck in the end, that sort of thing. We had a press launch for Series 3 in London, and Will Baker came along, who is Kylie's creative director and a big Doctor Who fan.
Jimmy's looks really happy.
I met Russell and Julie at the launch for the last series, and they obviously were aware of me and obviously knew who Kylie was.
He said, oh, wouldn't it be marvellous if Kylie was in an episode? And, you know, to be honest, you just go, yeah, like, that's going to... We were just laughing, going, oh, well, all right then, yeah, wouldn't that be brilliant? And Princess Margaret too.
I think I agreed to it before she actually had.
And then the next day, it was real. He phoned up, and Julie Gardner was very good at pursuing it. He phoned up and said, really, shall we approach her, shall we do it? And sit down with her and meet her and run her through the plot, which wasn't even written at that stage, so I sat there and busked. I busked in front of Kylie Minogue, just making it up. And I certainly didn't know that Astrid would die at that point, so I hope she doesn't get cheated into that.
The refreshing difference for me is that this isn't about me, it's about my character and the ensemble. And I guess it just goes back to my roots of where I started out, being on set and being with the crew. It's really been enjoyable. I've loved it so far. I'm sore, I'm tired. I've just washed the dirt and all kinds of stuff off me, but it's great. Happy to be here.
You're very welcome.
With Astrid's costume, we met 4 times in total before we actually started filming on it.
For toff's sake, look where you're going. This jacket's a genuine Earth antique.
I'm sorry, sir.
I'd already had quite a good brief because obviously in the script she's a waitress, so that won't change. We didn't want to put her in some long dress. I mean, you don't get Kylie Minogue and put her in a long frock. I thought it would be great to have that cigarette girl shape, almost like a 1950s ice cream cinema usherette.
This is amazing, thank you!
We had boots made for her. Everything we made we had to do 5 of because we had to make for her her stunt double, a stand-in double, and then also because she was going to be clean and dirty, we had to have those as well. So 5 costumes and also different size boots. In fact, she told me it was one of the most comfortable costumes she'd worn in years, so I was very pleased.
We're saying this is a big party on the Titanic, so you've got a lot of people physically in the room. We had sort of 50 people in there, then you've got our principals, and then we had a band on stage. and then all of us lot to shoot it.
It was tricky because in deciding to do a Titanic, I knew right from the start we've got to have ballrooms, we've got to have corridors, you know, the upstairs corridors. It's got to look a bit 1912.
We've found some fantastic locations. By the time you filled it with 50 extras in 1912 gear, it all becomes rather magical. It's the 31st of July, and I'm about to go from this studio now out onto the streets of Cardiff.
We did this big set piece in one of Cardiff's main streets, and everybody was kind of really worried there'd be hundreds of people. There wasn't any fuss at all, which was a testament to the production team and to, particularly Gareth Skelding. He was looking after all the locations. They were brilliantly managed.
We needed a London street in Cardiff that gave us a scale where we could do the Christmas aspect of it, but also try and sort of keep everything quiet, keep everything under wraps, which I think we've achieved so far, so fingers crossed. We're halfway there now.
Although we've had a few crowds and a few photographers and so on, when we've been going in and out of locations, we've been mostly left fairly untroubled. I don't know if we'll get away with tonight. Doctor Who itself tends to get a bit of attention, and if you add to that Kylie Minogue, it might be a little bit tricky tonight, but the security guards are desperate for a fight, so it'll be fine.
We're filming this moment when they all come to Earth. It's quite surreal being here, right in the middle of Cardiff, and there's no one else here, which is great.
We actually sealed off a street, which we've never quite done before. We've always tried to sneak it in before the set gets invaded by the public.
Turn over.
Oh, now spending money, I have a credit card in Earth currency. So if you want to buy trinkets or stockings or the local delicacy, which is known as beef, but don't stray too far, it could be dangerous. Any day now they start boxing.
Should be full, should be busy, something's wrong.
Oh, but it's beautiful.
Really? Do you think so? It's just a street. I mean, pyramids are beautiful, and New Zealand, and...
It's a different planet. I'm standing on a different planet. There's concrete and shops, alien shops, real alien shops. Look, no stars in the sky. It smells. It stinks. This is amazing. Thank you.
And cut there. Okay, lights just clear for me, please.
With Astrid, you want someone who is a companion. In my mind, I absolutely consider her to be a companion who takes the ultimate step out of those women and men who will give their lives to the Doctor. She literally does.
And action.
Mr. Capricorn! I resign.
It's a moment where there's simply no escape. Max has to be stopped. She's the only one who knows how to drive that forklift truck.
Forklift drives across the floor and it hits the box. And she's driving at the Max box and it's edging forwards and backwards and it's not going anywhere. She seems to do something and she looks across at the Doctor. No.
It may be the first time that the Earth has been saved by a forklift truck, I'm not sure. Kind of suited Kylie sitting in that forklift truck. I don't know why, but she seemed at home there. She wasn't actually allowed to drive it. Do you know you have to take a certificate to drive a forklift truck?
He's gone mad.
That's my favourite. What do you mean, gone? Been for quite a while.
We had a stunt lady in a wig for that bit, but it's very cleverly cut together, obviously. And we had George Costigan in his Max box, and the two meeting and wheels spinning. It's a fairly surreal image, really.
219, take 1, 8 camera 1. Okay, and action.
Mr. Capricorn!
Okay, cut there, third position. The end sequence when she basically confronts Max and drives him off the edge of this cliff was quite complicated due to all of the kind of health and safety reasons and stuff. We had a stunt performer actually driving the forklift truck.
318, take 3A camera mark. And action, so Kylie's driving across the floor towards a box and she hits the box! Gets the box, keep pushing against the box, pushing against. Nothing's happening. And Paul Casey steps in to throw, and he's going to throw the halo.
He's cut the brake line!
She's trying to drive forward as she looks at you. And start throwing the debris, and action target. And she looks back and she's going to lurch forward and she goes. Baby says no, but she's going to go for it and she puts her foot down and she goes.
But the brakes have been cut. She goes all the way. She goes all the way, not just to save the Doctor, but to save the Earth and to save everyone still alive on that ship. It's the ultimate sacrifice.
We've seen Astrid fall, and so we think perhaps that's the end of her. And then there's this hope, there's the kind of brief scene which we managed to kind of get her back.
And action!
Brookston! Sonic! Mr. Copper! The teleports, have they got an emergency setting?
I don't know, they should have.
She fell, Mr. Copper, she fell. What's the emergency code?
Oh, let me see.
Woman, what the hell are you doing?
We can bring her back.
If a passenger has an accident on shore, even they're still wearing their teleport, their molecules are automatically suspended and held in stasis. So if we can just trigger the shift.
There! Oh, falling. She's only halfway there. Come on!
Keep falling.
Only halfway there. Come on! Feed back the molecule grid, boost it with the restoration matrix. No! You need more phase containment!
It's like a Doctor moment, that, because he can't bring the dead back to life.
I can do anything!
Stop me falling.
The moment he kicks the podium, and David's so brilliant, he says, I can do anything, but he can't. It's like he has such mastery over every situation that he's in that you really need those moments of saying, actually, that's too far. You can't bring her back.
In some ways, he has these great powers and great abilities, and he can save all manner of solar systems, but he can't seem to save the people closest to him. The truth of it is that without Astrid sacrificing herself, there's no guarantee that the Earth wouldn't have got fried.
She's stardust.
And yet the Doctor's devastated by the fact that she does. You know, he would have loved to fly off into the sunset with her, I think.
And action.
Let her go.
She dies and she's gone, and the Doctor, as ever, moves on. And in a way, it's almost too fast and too quick. And it needs that final coda at the end. And I like that coda at the end. It sort of looks very sentimental.
It's atoms, Doctor. An echo with a ghost of consciousness.
It was actually quite a logistics exercise because she's meant to be transparent. So what that meant was we had to kind of basically shoot the scene twice. Obviously, once they're there, and then literally David has to act to nothing.
350, take 1A, camera mark. You go.
Astrid Peth,
Citizen of Star.
the woman who looked up at the stars and dreamt of travelling.
It was very hard for David because he had to kiss nothing in the end, so he's doing this incredibly powerful and touching moment, doing it to nobody, which is really hard. But David, obviously because he's David, did it amazingly, and the end result is stunning.
Astrid Peth, citizen of Stowe. The woman who looked up at the stars and dreamt of travelling.
She does get to kiss him, so probably a great number of the audience would like to be in my position. I think that's something that makes this episode and their relationship so bittersweet, is that you can see that there's potential and there's chemistry between them, and that's her dream. That's all she would have ever wished for. And the fact that at the beginning she's dreaming, she does look out at the stars, and then she becomes one of them, or millions of them, as stardust. I think it's really poetic.
It's a real tragedy for him when he loses her, because again he's lost someone who could have made his life that little bit less lonely.
At the end, he's left alone again. And that's one of my favourite images, is the lonely Doctor.
course it's Doctor Who. He's got to be the lonely traveller. He's got to be cruelly robbed of a bit of happiness, hasn't he?